Hello and welcome to a very different episode of the Cosmic Outpost. I'm here at the English Riviera Film Festival and we're going to be talking to some people who make films and discussing our usual Doctor Who topic. But as you can see behind me, we have all kinds of people doing filmmaking type stuff, and there are people behind me here doing all kinds of filmmaking stuff, and we're just walking over doing filmmaking stuff. And so hopefully I should be joined by some guests very shortly. Let me just put the camera on the tripod. So, welcome to the Cosmic Outpost. I'll introduce my guest today. We have Tom.
Hello.
Hayley.
Hello.
And another Tom.
Hello.
And tell me, what brings you here today? What projects are you supporting on the English Riviera Film Festival?
We're not supporting anyone apart from Honest Tommy.
That sounds.
Yeah, that's what we've brought here.
And I'm promoting Mordred and working on the doors, even though I'm sat here.
Yeah, we've been pulled away from our duties.
Have to excuse the fanning because it is rather warm in here. So, on the Cosmic Outpost, we focus on stories, and we've been looking at the Doctor Who stories, and so far there have been some good ones, there have been some pretty terrible ones. Have you had some favourite stories from this season? Tom, beginning with you, because you're closest.
This season, gosh. It's interesting you say there have been some good ones and there's been some bad ones, because surely that's very subjective.
Well, when you say
it is subjective. Let's be honest.
Okay.
I mean, you can argue about how well something's produced or how well it's written, but whether or not it's a good or a bad thing, that's very.
Okay, I mean, on the Cosmic Outpost, we've been looking at story devices. So, for instance, in the episode where they had those emoji robots, they had a device in there which upgraded their ears, which served no purpose in the rest of the story other than to let the Doctor talk to Bill at a distance. Yes, there was a communication part in there, but it was a plot device that I didn't think needed to be in there because the Doctor could have had a control phone or something like they had on Star Trek. You press a button on the bridge, and that sort of thing.
Really easy. Some other.
Yeah, and there were different ways. Like, the unforgivable one for me was you had David Suchet, fantastic actor in a.
That was a nice story.
It was a great story. Yeah. Unfortunately, he had a sonic screwdriver, and the weakness of the creatures was sonics. So if he'd have switched on the sonic screwdriver, he would have been able to get rid of the creatures immediately. So if you're going to do that in a story, do what I can't even think of his name, League of Gentlemen guy.
Mark Gatiss.
Yeah, do what Mark Gatiss does and actually remove the sonic screwdriver from the equation. So, he has... his there's no setting for wood.
His last episode was really good.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it. I forget what it's called, the Victorian one with the giant fish under the Thames. That was quite nice.
Okay.
Mainly aesthetically, and also there was a really nice, strong political undertone, which was fun. That's probably the main reason I liked it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they... Yeah, there are elements of it which were a bit wishy-washy. I mean, for me, at the moment, this series has been very... there's some nice ideas, but they haven't really followed through and rounded things out. It's a bit like they haven't had as much time to work on the scripts and the concepts before they've started production. That's how it's felt to me, and I haven't really been able to get into it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of watching it, but I'm not really feeling it or excited about any of it. But that also could just be me and not their output. It depends on the mood when you're watching something.
That's the thing. Hayley, what about you? What
I agree almost, 100%. I just feel like the whole Capaldi, I think for him, the scripts haven't been right for him. I think, him as a Doctor would have been... He could have done so much more, and I just feel like he's been held back. There has been the odd good episode, like you say, with the Thames. I love that. And yes, political views within it. I did enjoy that, but I've not been religiously watching it like I used to.
Oh, you've been dropping the occasional episode.
I have. I've not been the Whovian that I was.
Okay. So, Tom, your favourite episode from this season?
I don't know if I have a favourite. I think it's the same sort of thing. It's like, again, there's good ideas, but there's not a standout in the same way as something like Heaven Sent was the standout of Series 9.
Certainly.
We haven't had that yet.
Series 9 was really good compared to Series 8 and Series 10, actually. It really...
But then a lot of people didn't like it. I think there seems to be more positive reaction to this series. Whatever they're doing, this series is working on the general audience, I think, whereas Series 9 didn't. Actually, you notice it when on Moffat's second episode this series, in the library with the monks and the book that can't be read, that was his typical Moffat-y kind of plotting,
Exactly.
Yeah.
which we hadn't had in the previous episodes. It was very more pared down, very simple stories that allowed the characters to grow. And then suddenly we went back to series 9, and it felt a bit.
Yeah,
It felt a bit unusual.
Yeah, we had the 3-run story about the monks, which pretty
was
much, that either needs to be the entire season, like they did with the Silence. I still don't get the Silence. You have to explain that to me. But again, it were for me, in terms of a story devices, these creatures can cure the Doctor's sight from a distance. And why don't they just take his sight away? Why didn't they hang on to Bill? The person that made the choice. Why did they lose that sort of thing? And I think those grand story arcs haven't been present in this one, other than the undertones of Missy. But again, it's Missy in the library, and unless there's going to be something that we haven't noticed all along, previously we had Saxon for Prime Minister, we had the Bad Wolf ages back. There's always been this undertone in the season. And that hasn't been this one. So I think, as you say...
But that also doesn't have to exist. I mean, there doesn't have to be a grand arc that's got underlying clues.
I think because they focused quite heavily on Series 9 with that kind of arc.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a tradition now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since the first
Series
reboot.
I think they're trying to not do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've enjoyed the idea of them just having little adventures, just random adventures. But at the same time, it kind of feels like they don't know what they want to do. Like they don't know if they want to do that or if they want to do something more like season 9.
Because they also have to give Capaldi an exit, so they're building up to that.
Yeah, that's it. I was just going to say, it's the last season of the showrunner. It's the last season with Peter Capaldi in the episodes.
It feels very confused, probably because of all those things going on. Yeah. I also kind of feel like what you were saying as well. Like, I don't feel like this series is. I thought Series 9 was written for Capaldi. It's the typical thing of Series 8. They are learning about how the writing and how the acting
and it's
work.
a response to the previous Doctor, so
they
do the darker thing.
And Series 9, they were able to run with the writing, knowing how he's going to... So I thought, really, it worked for him. There were some great Capaldi moments. Whereas this series, it doesn't feel like his Doctor at all. It feels more like Tennant in about Series 3. And it just kind of doesn't work. Like, particularly the opening, really it just doesn't work. The first few episodes, for me, it just wasn't his Doctor at all.
What about the character Bill? Because I think Bill's been one of the strong points in the episode.
Yeah.
She's been us in a lot of ways. So if they're bringing on new viewers, Bill has been able to say, right, why is that? What is a Dalek?
Yeah, she's a really good audience
sort of
surrogate.
Yeah.
And I like her questioning. I like her honesty to it all as well. She's such an open, honest person, and I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing her absorb everything as well.
One thing I did appreciate, I'll be controversial and say I didn't enjoy Matt Smith as a Doctor, but the actual handover.
That is terribly controversial.
The actual handover where he's making that telephone call on Trenzalore.
That was awful.
And then he actually made the phone call to Clara. Really?
I hated it. I hated the Series 8 apology. Sorry that we've got an older guy in. Really sorry that we've decided to have an older
I
chap
see. Okay.
and not a younger. Look, we're really sorry. 18 to mid 20s people that it's not Matt Smith anymore. We're so sorry. Sorry. It's an older man that's a bit more grumpy. So please,
to be fair to them, I think that was a response to the fact that they almost got cancelled when Matt Smith was cast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they were worried that people wouldn't accept the next Doctor, so they had to go overboard. To go, no, it is still him. It's fine. So I think they went too far with that phone call.
But could you appreciate the Doctor handing over the new Doctor to the?
It was nice. It was
Clara.
totally nice. I just feel that it's kind of like an unnecessary. The problem is it's not the character. It's not the character. It's not the series. It's the production. It's the
producers coming through.
Well, it's the response to fans. It's the fan stuff leaking into the, and I just don't like seeing that.
Okay.
If it's going to be, it wouldn't be a problem for me if it wasn't so transparent. That was the problem, is that it's
Get
really
the
transparent.
ratings.
Yeah.
But I thought his actual regeneration was quite elegantly done.
Oh,
Like,
it's
he would,
beautiful,
when he's
yeah.
handing over, so he's coming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll always remember
Yeah.
being me, but here's the next
Yeah,
one. I thought that was quite nice.
Really
Yeah.
glorious, yeah.
The taking off the bow tie.
Yes.
like,
Yeah, and the
next
slow
Doctor
motion shot
surely
of it
won't
hitting
want
the ground,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the sound of it hitting the floor.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it was-
lovely.
But it's also
That's-
being aware of the iconography of the show that they've built up. That, well,
Absolutely.
This is something the fans want to see.
Yeah.
So, as script writers, do you think they should be brilliant script writers, that they should take all of this into account? Or do you think, well, here's the Doctor Who toy box, play with it?
Well, probably should be a combination of both.
Yeah,
So-
I like the inspiration from the Doctor Who toy box. Finding things that work, but then also getting other people on board like they have done so many times, and just throwing the ideas together.
Yeah, I think like someone like Jamie Matheson from Series 8 who did Flatline and took the idea of the TARDIS being big on the inside and doing something new and interesting with it that hadn't really been done in that way before. Actually making it smaller but keeping the dimensions and it shrinking
Yeah.
while he's in it. That felt like, I think he wasn't really a fan when he came into it. He hadn't seen the show and he just took that concept and did something new.
That's
So
my
he
favourite
wasn't
episode of that
beholden
series.
to the old. Like if it had been Moffat or someone, he would have gone, oh, we can't do that because of this and because of this happened and this and this.
What did he write for this season?
He did Oxygen, I think.
Yeah, so the Oxygen was my favourite episode of the season because it really was, yes, he took all the Doctor's tools away. So the TARDIS,
Yes,
the sonic screwdriver, everything. So it really was right. This is down and dirty. Doctor being Doctor, and
Oh, I know the
kind
episode
of
now. Yeah,
like,
that was really
oh
good.
right, no, Clara's messed up. I have to take my space helmet off. Oh no, not Clara,
Bill.
Bill.
Yeah,
Come on.
Bill's taking a space helmet. I'm going to have to share my oxygen. It's like wow,
Yeah.
and that
And
tied
the fact
in
that it
with
cost
the,
him something as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
that cost him, which I think was a very good trait to put in. So yeah, hats off to Jamie Matheson for that one.
Yeah, actually, that is a really good episode of this series.
Cool.
Yeah.
There we go. Right, well, we'll wind it up there. Thank you very much for your opinions
You're welcome.
on
Thank you for watching.
And give us a quick blast of your Twitter feed so people can find out where you are.
At HT
Honest Tommy,
Film.
HT Film, yeah.
Yeah.
Honest Tommy
At
on
HT
Facebook,
Film.
Twitter.
Tommy, Facebook.
There we go. Some
And
Aldred
pixie dust.
and Pixie Dust. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time on the Cosmic Airport. Thanks for watching.